INDES, Indian Accounting Standards. And I'm sure all of you would also have heard of IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. And I'm sure all of you would also be aware of the interconnection between the INDES and the IFRS. So what INDES is nothing but adopted version of IFRS. And what IFRS is? It is International Financial Reporting Standards, which is nothing but a global accounting language, which today is adopted in more than or adapted in more than 140 countries across the globe. हमने हिंदुस्तान में क्या किया? हमने हिंदुस्तान में IFRS की ज़रूरत को महसूस किया as a global country, because India today is a very powerful country in the whole world. So realizing that there is a significance our country has for the whole world, we also decided to go for IFRS, but not adopting it. Rather, we adapted it. That means we have accepted IFRS as the accounting language in this country, but not exactly as it is in Europe, but with some modifications. And that is why we don't call it IFRS in this country, we call it INDES. INDES is Indian Accounting Standards. So this is the topic that we have. Now, as I said that we would make this session an interactive one. So therefore, I would like all of you to answer these questions and tell me what you think is INDES, why INDES, for whom INDES, how many indices are there, how to implement INDES, and what is the major difference between INDES and Indian GAAP. So I am sure you are aware of the Indian GAAP. So Indian GAAP यानी कि वो जो कि हमारा existing accounting system है, हमारे जो ASS हैं, AS1, AS2 and things like that, उनमें और INDES में क्या फ़र्क है? This is what I would like for all of you to please tell me, starting with the first question. क्या लगता है आपको? What is INDES? Everyone. क्या है INDES? Yes. Please tell me. Sure, please go ahead.
INDES are accounting standards.
ये फैन को बंद कर देंगे क्या इसको? Can we? I don't need these two fans, so you can please switch them off. Yeah, this one also. Very good, thank you. Yes, please.
INDES are accounting standards.
Yeah.
Which give the roadmap of how accounting should be done.
Okay.
In every aspect of the business.
Okay.
Taking care of different aspects like depreciation.
Okay.
And etc.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Very good. What else?
So it is
Yes, ma'am.
basically accounting standards that is set to be implemented in all the company's financial statements, so
Mhm.
it becomes really comparable from one company to another company for various aspects.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that is why Indian accounting standards are implemented. So as the comparison, because there is a lot of investors who want to invest in the company.
Right.
And because of various accounting standards that is being followed by the company,
Right.
we are not able to compare the proper profits that the company are showing.
Right.
So which is why it is base thing is to compare the financials of the company. We need a standard that is to be followed by everyone who are applicable.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And for whom INDES? Indices are applicable for whom today?
mandatory to listed companies.
Mandatory to listed companies and
And
unlisted companies also, and
it is also
250 crore net worth. Very good. Very good. So very good. And how many indices are there all put together?
39 to 40.
39 to 40. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. And what is the major difference between the INDES or IFRS and Indian accounting standards, AAS? दोनों में क्या फ़र्क है?
INDES में fair value पे measure करते हैं.
फेयर वैल्यू पे मेजर करते हैं, राइट? वेरी गुड. सो वेरी गुड. सो प्लीज़ गिव अ बिग राउंड टू एवरी वन ऑफ यू. वेरी गुड इंडीड. वेरी गुड. सो लेट्स बिगिन आवर डिस्कशन. Basically, why INDES? Let's understand. You know, there was a time globally when the businesses were very small. यानी कि एक छोटे छोटे बिजनेस थे, एज मच एज कि उस बिज़नेस का मालिक भी वही आदमी था और उस बिज़नेस का मैनेजर भी वही आदमी था. दैट मीन्स व्हाट? दैट मीन्स अगर इस आदमी ने कुछ गड़बड़ करी बिजनेस में तो इसका मतलब क्या है, इसका मतलब वो सफ़र करने वाला वो खुद ही था. सो इट वॉज नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम, देर वॉज नो नीड ऑफ एनी रेगुलेशन, बिकॉज जो कमिट करेगा मिस्टेक वो उसका परिणाम भी सफ़र करेगा. सो दैट्स वाई इट वॉज परफेक्टली ओके in good old days, small businesses. Then what happened? Slowly businesses started growing in size. So जब business size में बड़े होने लगे तो पार्टनरशिप फर्म आ गई. पार्टनरशिप फर्म आ गई तो उसमें भी 20 लोग ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो सकते थे. अगेन अगर हम सबको मालूम है, इन केस ऑफ पार्टनरशिप देयर इज अ कंसेप्ट ऑफ अनलिमिटेड लाइबिलिटी, and not only unlimited liability, but the liability is also to be shared jointly or severally. तो अगर कोई पार्टनरशिप फर्म गड़बड़ करती है तो उसका जो भुगतान है वो सारे पार्टनरों से भी करा जा सकता है और किसी एक पार्टनर को पकड़ के भी करा जा सकता है. सो दैट मीन्स अगेन देयर वाज नो नीड और ऑफ एनी रेगुलेशन, बिकॉज अगर एक पार्टनर ने भी गड़बड़ करी समझो तो बाकी के जो पार्टनर हैं दे वर ऑल्सो अकाउंटेबल and that partner was also accountable. Therefore whatever they were doing there was nothing to worry. फिर कंसेप्ट आया प्राइवेट लिमिटेड कंपनी का, फिर कंसेप्ट आया पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनी का, और फिर कंसेप्ट आया लिस्टेड कंपनी का. बिकॉज जैसे जैसे बिजनेसेस ग्रो होते रहे कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट्स बढ़ती रही, और जैसे जैसे कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट बढ़ती रही तो कंपनियों के स्ट्रक्चर में भी चेंज आता गया. सो टुडे नॉट ओनली वी हैव limited companies and listed companies, today we also have global companies. And today since we have global companies and therefore there was a need felt urgently globally कि भाई अगर सारी दुनिया के सारे कंट्रीज़ अपने अपने अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स रख के चलेंगे तो फिर अगर मेरा बिज़नेस चाइना में है तो मेरा बिज़नेस चाइना में कैसा कर रहा है, अगर उनकी अकाउंटिंग का सिस्टम डिफरेंट है, मेरी अकाउंटिंग का सिस्टम डिफरेंट है, हाउ विल आई फिगर आउट as to how my company is doing in China, or how my company is doing in Australia, or how my company is doing in New Zealand, or how my company is doing in America. Likewise, how companies of all these geographies doing in different geographies. So there was a need felt that there has to be an accounting system which has to be common, standardized, which should be applicable universally, so that I do not have to take extra effort to read the financial statements of a company in Europe or in New Zealand or elsewhere. Are you with me? And this is how the system of IFRS came into existence, that is known as International Financial Reporting Standards. अब हम सभी को मालूम है India today is one of the major global player. So India being one of the major global player, obviously India cannot remain behind in implementing in an initiative like this. क्यों? क्योंकि अगर हम ग्लोबल अकाउंटिंग अडॉप्ट नहीं करेंगे तो जो ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर्स हैं वो इंडिया में नहीं आना चाहेंगे. क्यों नहीं आना चाहेंगे? बिकॉज यू विल लाइक टू गो टू अ प्लेस जिसकी लैंग्वेज आपको समझती हो. अगर एक जगह है उसकी लैंग्वेज आपको समझती नहीं है और आपको समझने का कोई साधन भी नहीं है, यू वुड नॉट लाइक टू गो टू दैट प्लेस. सो देयरफॉर टू एंश्योर दैट द इन्वेस्टर्स फ्रॉम ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड शुड ऑल्सो कम टू इंडिया विद देयर मनी, we decided immediately that we will go for the IFRS, but not in the same form as it is, with some minor changes here and there, and those changes are only minor here and there, but those changes are there to suit our requirements. So this is the whole background for the indices or IFRSs. So when I say index or when I say IFRS, you can assume that I am talking about the same thing. The only difference is IFRS you talk in the context of globe, index you talk in the context of India. सो अब सवाल ये है कि ये जो फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम्स, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं, ये फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स की ज़रूरत क्यों पड़ती है? ये फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट की ज़रूरत इसलिए पड़ती है क्योंकि देयर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल हु आर दी स्टेक होल्डर in any business. So there are a lot of people who use the financial statements for the purpose of decision making. Are you with me? Isn't it? So कौन है वो लोग? You have investors, employees, lenders, suppliers and other creditors, customers, government, public and society at large. So these are the stakeholders, or these are the people who are interested in reading the financial statements of any company. Why? Because they have to take decision. एक customer है, right? So customer है, वो before he places order with a vendor, he would like to find out कि भाई ये वेंडर की कैपेबिलिटी है कि नहीं है. कल को मैं इसको ऑर्डर प्लेस करूं, इसके भरोसे पे बैठा रहूं, इसको एडवांस पेमेंट कर दूं और ये बंदा ना तो मेरा सप्लाई करे और मेरे पेमेंट को लेके भाग जाए, तो I am going to be in trouble. So as a customer, I would be interested in knowing the financial statements. As an employee, I would be interested in knowing the financial statements, because if I am joining a company, ये company मुझे पगार टाइम से देगी कि नहीं देगी, मुझे प्रमोट करेगी कि नहीं करेगी, assuming that I am doing a good job, मुझे प्रमोट करेगी करेंगे. तो ये सारे के लिए these are the people who use the financial statements. तो financial statements का purpose क्या है? Financial statement का purpose ये है to help all the interested people take economic decisions, take well informed economic decisions. Are you with me, everybody? So that is the purpose of all the financial statements. अब मैं यहाँ पे आपको ये भी जिक्र कर दूँ कि बैलेंस शीट है, और rather you would like to tell me बैलेंस शीट का क्या, what is that you want to find and understand from the balance sheet of a company, everyone. किसी कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट से आप क्या समझना चाहोगे, क्या समझना चाहोगे? या financial position. Very good. So you would like to know the financial position with the help of a balance sheet. Yes.
We can know the assets and liabilities of the company at some particular point of time.
Correct. Okay. Very good. So that's your you would like to know as to what the liabilities are of the company and what the assets are of the company, and thereby how is the company's financial position. Very good. What else? Net worth or the net book value that you would like to know as far as the balance sheet is concerned. Okay. What would you like to understand and know from the profit and loss statement of a company? From the what you would like to know and understand about the company from the profit and loss of this company? Turnover of the company, yes. And what? Profitability, yes, of course, profitability. And what else? Okay, and what would you like to know from the cash flow statement of a company? So I am sure all of us know that all the companies are mandatorily required to publish the P&L, balance sheet and the cash flow statement. So what you would like to know, how would you like to use cash flow statement of a company? Free cash flows, yes, very good, free cash flows. Operating revenues, okay, operating revenues, sure, of course. वेरी गुड कि पैसा कहाँ से आया बिजनेस में और पैसा कहाँ चला गया बिजनेस से, दैट इज व्हाट यू वुड लुक टू लाइक टू फाइंड आउट. एंड वंस अगेन प्लीज जॉइन योर हैंड्स एंड गिव अ बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज टू एवरी वन ऑफ यू. सो द पर्पस ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, नंबर वन, फ्रॉम द बैलेंस शीट 3-4 things that you would like to know. One, of course, is the overall financial position. How is the overall financial position of a company? But let me tell you, हम सभी को मालूम है, any balance sheet that you pick up anywhere in the world, loss making company, profit making company, Indian company, global company, a manufacturing company, service company, all the companies balance sheet, they will always, the asset side and the liability side will always be the same. So therefore the question is, how do you figure out कि किस कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन अच्छी है और किस कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन अच्छी नहीं है? हाउ डू यू फिगर आउट? अगर लॉस मेकिंग कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट का भी टोटल सेम है, प्रॉफिट मेकिंग कंपनी की भी बैलेंस शीट का भी टोटल सेम है, then how do you make it out as to this company is a good balance sheet, this is a bad balance sheet? Yep. By applying ratio analysis, of course, yes, undoubtedly. What else? Debt equity ratio, very good. What else? Positive net worth. So remember, even though the total of any balance sheet will always be same as far as the assets and the liabilities are concerned, how do you figure out as to whether which balance sheet is a strong balance sheet? By looking at the net worth, by looking at the figure of reserves and surplus. So जिस कंपनी का reserves and surplus का figure का जितना ज़्यादा होगा, that means that balance sheet is that much stronger. और अगर एक कंपनी की reserves and surplus की figure माइनस में है, that means instead of making profit in the past, company has incurred losses in the past. Even though the total of the assets and the liabilities are still the same, this company's balance sheet is not good one. Are you with me, everybody? So this is how you will figure out number one. Number two, you will look at the current ratio, and you would look at the liquidity ratio. You will look at the leverage ratio or debt equity ratio. Quickly, so debt equity ratio, I am sure all of you know, right? So how would you, what is the ideal debt equity ratio? Okay, and what is the ideal current ratio? 1.67, 1.33, okay. 1.33। अच्छा, एक छोटा सा सवाल पूछता हूँ आगे बढ़ने से पहले। एक कंपनी का करंट रेशो, और ये जो कंपनी इसके बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ, ये प्रॉफिट मेकिंग कंपनी है, ये प्रॉफिट मेकिंग कंपनी है, और ये कंपनी अपने सप्लायर्स को टाइम से पेमेंट करती है, गवर्नमेंट ड्यूज़ को टाइम से पे करती है, एम्प्लॉयज़ को टाइम से पे करती है, जो भी इसके ऑब्लिगेशंस हैं वो सारे के सारे ऑब्लिगेशन ये कंपनी टाइम टू टाइम पूरा करती है। तो और ये प्रॉफिट मेकिंग कंपनी है। इस कंपनी का करंट रेशो 31 मार्च 22 को की बैलेंस शीट में था 1.75। कितना? 1.75 ऑन 31 मार्च 22। ऑन 31 अक्टूबर का जब इन्होंने बैलेंस शीट बनाया तो ये करंट रेशो इनका घट के रह गया 1.25। प्रॉफिट मेकिंग कंपनी है, सबको बराबर से पेमेंट कर रही है, लेकिन उनका करंट रेशो 1.75 से घट के 1.25 पे आ गया। गुड साइन और बैड साइन?
It's a good sign.
Okay, so let me ask every one of you and then we will, ma'am, good sign or bad sign?
Good sign.
Bad sign? Bad sign? You can change your answer है, ऐसा नहीं कि पहले वाले ने जो बोला है वही बोलना है। गुड साइन? गुड साइन? गुड साइन? आप भी चेंज कर सकते हो, 3 लोगों ने बोला इसका, चौथे ने बोला, कंपलसरी नहीं है। गुड साइन? बैड साइन? बैड साइन? बैड साइन? बैड साइन? हाँ चलो, आपने ठीक किया, थोड़ा सा बदल दिया। यस यस यस, गुड साइन। मैम, गुड साइन? यस, यू सेड गुड साइन ऑलरेडी। ओके, वेरी गुड। अब देखो ये क्लास में कितना डिवीजन है, आधे लोग बोल रहे हैं गुड साइन है, आधे लोग बोल रहे हैं बैड साइन है। तो जिन लोगों को लगता है कि ये बैड साइन है, वुड यू लाइक टू टेल अस एज टू व्हाई यू थिंक इट्स अ बैड साइन? करंट रेशो कम हो गया है ना, तो करंट रेशो कम हो गया, इसका मतलब ये बैड साइन है। क्यों बैड साइन है? अगर आप जैसे बोल रहे हैं बैड साइन, कितने लोगों ने बैड साइन बोला? हाथ ऊपर करिए। आप में से कोई भी मुझे बताए व्हाई यू थिंक इट्स, सर व्हाई इट इज अ बैड साइन?
सर क्योंकि अगर करंट असेट्स कम है
हाँ,
तो करंट लायबिलिटीज ज़्यादा होंगे, फिर
करंट एसेट्स
कम है,
कम हैं,
लायबिलिटीज ज़्यादा होंगे, उन्हें पे करने के लिए करंट असेट कम पड़ेंगे।
अच्छा इसलिए आपको लगता है कि ये बैड साइन है। अच्छा, और कोई? यू सेड गुड साइन और बैड साइन? यस। अच्छा, व्हाई इट्स अ गुड साइन? एंड प्लीज पे अटेंशन, व्हाई इट्स अ गुड साइन? बोलते बोलते बोल दिया, अब याद नहीं आ रहा क्यों बोला। व्हाई गुड साइन? अच्छा, तो आपने क्या बोला था? इसलिए बोल दिया कि गुड साइन। क्यों गुड साइन? मैम, व्हाई इट्स अ गुड साइन?
So in current assets we include inventory.
Yes,
Inventory.
right.
So if that decreases, it means your sales is increasing.
Uh-huh.
That is one of the aspects why your current assets is coming down.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a good sign. Your closing inventory is getting into sales.
Okay.
So that is why the current assets might be coming down.
Okay.
It's a good sign.
Okay.
Or else the liabilities are less. Like we have already paid the liabilities.
Right.
Which is why the assets are getting lesser.
Right. Okay. Very good. Very good. Please join your hands. Give her a big round. Very good. So remember, अब देखिए, as finance professional, because as CMAs you all are finance professional. तो जिस कंपनी को आप ज्वाइन करोगे, मुझे बताइए आप क्या चाहोगे? Will you like कि आपकी कंपनी की इन्वेंट्री बढ़े कि आपकी कंपनी की इन्वेंट्री कम हो? एवरीवन, वो भी जिन्होंने कहा कि बैड साइन है, उनको भी क्या लगता है कि इन्वेंट्री बिजनेस की कम होनी चाहिए कि इन्वेंट्री बिजनेस की बढ़नी चाहिए? कम होनी चाहिए। व्हाट अबाउट द रिसीवेबल्स? कंपनी के रिसीवेबल्स कम होने चाहिए कि बढ़ने चाहिए? कम होने चाहिए। तो अगर कंपनी का करंट रेशियो 1.75 से घट के 1.25 पे आ गया, इसका मतलब करंट एसेट्स कम हो गए कि ज़्यादा हो गए? कम हो गए ना, इसका मतलब इन्वेंट्री कम हो गई, इसका मतलब रिसीवेबल्स कम हो गए। तो अगर इन्वेंट्री कम हो गई, दैट इज़ व्हाट यू वांट, रिसीवेबल्स कम हो गए, दैट इज़ व्हाट यू वांट, तो करंट रेशियो 1.75 टू 1.25 हो गया। इज इट अ गुड साइन और बैड साइन? एंड द आंसर इज, एवरीबडी, द आंसर इज गुड साइन. So please remember, as finance professional, as future CFOs, our job is not to increase the inventory of the business, our job is not to increase the receivables of the business, our job is to reduce them, and that is what you must remember. So current, what is an ideal current ratio? So long as company is making profit, so long as company is making payment to everyone on time, अगर उसका करंट रेशियो माइनस भी हो जाए परवाह नहीं. क्यों परवाह नहीं? बिकॉज रिमेंबर, ability to discharge its liabilities does not come from the current assets that you hold in your business. Ability to discharge your liabilities come from the profit that you earned from the business. Yes or no? तो कभी भूल के मत सोचिए कि करंट एसेट से मेरी एबिलिटी होती है कि मैं करंट लाइबिलिटीज को डिस्चार्ज कर पाऊंगा कि नहीं कर पाऊंगा. माई एबिलिटी टू डिस्चार्ज माई करंट लाइबिलिटीज कम्स फ्रॉम हाउ मच प्रॉफिट डू आई मेक. तो अल्टीमेटली, will you ever like to pay your suppliers by selling your inventory? Will you like to do that? Anyone? Of course not. How will you pay to your suppliers? You will pay to your suppliers from the profit that you will make from your operations. And therefore, remember, it's a good sign if the current ratio is going down. And as a matter of fact, all of you, the companies that you are working for, tomorrow itself when you go, or whenever the training program gets over and you go and join, look at the current ratio of your company for last 3 years and see as to how the current ratio is moving, has moved in last 3 years. Then prepare a plan as to how to bring the current ratio of your company down by 25%. And I can tell you, if you give this plan to CFO of your company or CEO of the company, your CEO or your CFO will give a big pat on your back and will tell you, I am proud of my decision that I have recruited you, because I know you understand what is good financial management. So that is number one. This is how you'll figure out from the balance sheet whether it's a good balance sheet or bad balance sheet, irrespective of the fact both sides of the balance sheet are same. Number two, you look at the debt equity ratio, and please remember, in this case also, debt equity ratio per se is not a right indicator about the financial position of a company. Debt equity ratio has to be seen in the context of EBITDA. You know what is EBITDA? Everyone quickly. What is EBITDA? It stands for earning before. Okay, EBITDA को कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट भी कहते हैं. You know why EBITDA is called as cash operating profit? Why EBITDA is also called as cash operating profit?
It comes from your operation.
It comes from your. So how do you get the figure of EBITDA? You minus from the sales your COGS, right? From the figure of sales you minus the COGS, that is your cost of goods sold. What you get in your hand is your gross profit. And from this gross profit, what you do? You minus your SG&A, selling, general and administrative expenses, and now what you get in your hand is your EBITDA. So what is EBITDA? EBITDA is cash operating profit. Meaning what? Meaning कि आपके operation से EBITDA is the amount of cash that you are getting in your hand from your operations. Sale is your operations, COGS your operating cost, SG&A is your operating cost, sales is your operating income. From the operating income you minus the operating expenses, and what you get? The operating cash in your hand, EBITDA. So don't look at the debt equity ratio alone. Look at the debt equity ratio in conjunction with your EBITDA. Q, and please pay attention, the borrowing power of a company is decided not by the debt equity ratio. The borrowing power of a company is decided by the amount of EBITDA. Why? Can somebody tell me?
Because we pay interest after that, so we come to know the interest coverage ratio in it.
Okay, very good, very good. What else? Please remember, when you borrow, you get cash, no doubt about it. But together with that cash, what you also get is an obligation to service that debt, yes or no? And not only you have to pay interest on that debt, but you also have to repay that loan that you have taken. Now tell me, if you have taken a loan and you have to repay it and you have to service the debt, where will you do it? Where will you service it from? तो आप इंटरेस्ट जो है वो कहाँ से चुकाएंगे? From the EBITDA. जो आप लोन रीपे करेंगे, कहाँ से रीपे करेंगे? That is from your EBITDA. So please remember, debt equity ratio alone is not an indicator as to how is the financial position of your company. EBITDA will decide as to what is your borrowing capacity. So this is how you will use the balance sheet. P&L will give you an idea as to how is the operating performance of the business, how is the financial performance of the business, and how is the overall performance of the business, and that is what you will get to know from the profit and loss statement. What will you understand from the from the cash flow statement. Cash flow statement will tell you, number one, where the money is coming from and where the money going, and number two, how is your operating cash flow. How is your cash flow from the operating activities? How is your cash flow from the investing activities? And how is your cash flow from the financing activities? So, how should be your cash flow from the operating activities? Everyone?
It should be positive.
It should be positive and it should be as high as possible. तो आपका जो कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम दी ऑपरेटिंग एक्टिविटीज है वो कैसा होना चाहिए? जितना ज़्यादा उतना अच्छा. नंबर टू, हाउ शुड बी योर इन्वेस्टिंग कैश फ्लो और योर कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम द इन्वेस्टिंग एक्टिविटीज? Yes, how should be your cash flow from the investing activities? Yeah, negative. It should be negative. And why it should be negative? Because remember, you are in business not only for making profit, but you are in business also for growth. Yes or no?
Yes.
And how will growth happen? Growth will happen only when you invest more money into capital assets, right? So only when your cash flow from the investing activities is negative, it would mean that you are making investment into the assets, and that means you are working for growing the company. And how should be your cash flow from the financing activities? It should be negative, or how it should be? How should be your cash flow from the financing activities? Everybody? Negative or positive?
Positive.
It has to be positive, right? Why it has to be positive? Remember, for the investing activities, you will need cash. For making investment, you will need cash. And where that cash will come from? That cash will come from two sources. The source number one is operating activities. So cash flow from the operating activities is the source number one for helping you finance the investing activities. And the source number two is the financing activities. That means क्या है? इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर आपकी कंपनी ग्रो कर रही है तो आपके जो फंड्स रिक्वायरमेंट हैं वो इतने ज़्यादा होने चाहिए कि जो आपका जो ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट है वो कम पड़े. और अगर वो कम पड़ रहा है इसका मतलब आपको जो डिफरेंस है वो कहीं ना कहीं से लेके आना पड़ेगा. तो कहाँ से लेके आएंगे? You can bring it from two sources, and those sources, number one is equity and number two is debt. So how should be your cash flow? Your cash flow must be, your cash flow from the financing activities must be positive in a good ratio of debt equity, right? So typically the cash flow from the financing activities must increase in a good debt equity ratio. यानी कि जितना आप बोरो कर रहे हैं और जितना आप अपनी जेब से डाल रहे हैं उसमें एक अच्छा मिक्स होना चाहिए. और वो मिक्स किस पे डिपेंड करेगा? वो मिक्स डिपेंड करेगा ऑन योर एबिडा. यानी कि अगर आपकी एबिडा मजबूत है, इफ़ योर एबिडा इज़ गुड, इफ़ योर कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट इज़ गुड, यू कैन अफोर्ड टू बोरो मोर. यस और नो? और अगर आपकी एबिडा स्ट्रांग नहीं है, आपकी एबिडा वीक है, तो इसका मतलब आपको बोरो नहीं करना चाहिए. आपको पैसा कहाँ से डालना चाहिए? You should put money from everybody from equity. You should put money by way of equity. So this is what is the purpose of the financial statements, and this is how these people will use the balance sheet and the income statement and the profit and loss statement and also the cash flow statement. Now here let me tell you, there are two more stakeholders which nobody talks about when you talk in terms of stakeholders. And what those two stakeholders are? Those two stakeholders are nature and nation. तो किसी भी कंपनी के लिए नेचर एक बहुत बड़ी स्टेक होल्डर है. यस और नो? और क्यों बहुत बड़ी स्टेक होल्डर है? क्योंकि अगर आप स्टील बनाते हैं तो आप स्टील बनाने के लिए क्या यूज़ करते हैं? आयरन ओर. वो आयरन ओर कहाँ से आ रहा है? नेचर से. तो आपको आयरन ओर कौन दे रहा है? नेचर दे रही है. तो अगर नेचर आपको कुछ दे रही है तो इसका मतलब क्या आपका नेचर के प्रति ऑब्लिगेशन है कि नहीं है? एंड द आंसर इज यस. एंड द सेकंड स्टेक होल्डर इज द नेशन एज सच. पूरा देश भी किसी भी कंपनी में बहुत बड़ा स्टेक होल्डर होता है. एंड दैट इज द रीजन आई एम श्योर ऑल ऑफ यू वुड नो दैट टुडे एवरीबडी इज टॉकिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ ESG, राइट? टुडे एवरीबडी इज टॉकिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ SDG. सो एंड वाई इज़ दैट? क्यों लोग आज एनवायरनमेंट के ऊपर, गवर्नेंस के ऊपर और सोसाइटी के ऊपर ध्यान दे रहे हैं? उसका रीज़न ये है कि ये दोनों स्टेक होल्डर्स आर ऑल्सो देयर. नाउ what is the roadmap for implementation of INDES in this country? I'm sure some of you would know this. The implementation of INDES was planned in this country way back in 2011. यानी कि 1 अप्रैल 2011 से ओरिजिनली हिंदुस्तान में इंडेस को इम्प्लीमेंट करने का प्लान था, बट implementation of INDES in the country will need a lot of infrastructure changes, because the accountants would also need to be equipped with the understanding of INDES that perhaps was not there at that point in time. Software also needed to undergo a change that was also not there at that point in time, and therefore it did not happen. Implementation of INDES did not start in this country from 1st April 2011 as it was originally planned. It is started from 1st April 2015 ऑन वॉलंटरी बेसिस, यानी कि 1 अप्रैल 2015 को अकॉर्डिंग टू द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट अफेयर्स इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ इंडेस बिकेम फॉर द कंपनीज, इट बिकेम ऑन वॉलंटरी बेसिस विद कंपेरेटिव्स. एंड कंपेरेटिव्स का मतलब क्या है कि अगर आप 15-16 की बैलेंस शीट बना रहे हैं, अगर आप 15-16 का P&L बना रहे हैं, अगर आप 15-16 का कैश फ्लो बना रहे हैं बेस्ड ऑन द इंडेस, then you also need to ensure that you have a number of 14-15 also available of P&L, of balance sheet, of cash flow statement, which were also based on INDES. So this is how it is started. From 1st April 2016, it became mandatory, and it became mandatory for all the companies, number one, which were listed on Indian exchanges or outside exchanges, or who were in the process of getting listed on either global or Indian exchanges, and whose net worth was in excess of 500 crore, right? So those companies, for these companies, INDES became mandatory from 1st April 2015. Unlisted companies whose net worth was more than 500 crore, they also came within the ambit of INDES from 1st April 2016. And remember, not only when INDES becomes mandatory to a company, it not only becomes mandatory to that company, it also automatically by default becomes mandatory to the parent company, subsidiary company, associate and joint venture also of that company. So parent company हो सकता है कि unlisted हो सकता है private limited हो. Even though parent company of a company to which INDES has become mandatory, even if the parent company was a private limited company, even if a subsidiary was a private limited company, unlisted company, even in that case, these companies also needed to keep their accounts as per the indices. This is how the whole system is. After that, from 1st April 2017, it became mandatory not only for the companies in the first category, but also the companies whose net worth was more than 250 crore. So all the companies in any case that were listed on the stock exchanges or were in the process of getting listed on the stock exchanges and whose net worth was more than 250 crore, to all these companies the INDES became mandatory. That means today, as it stands, irrespective of the net worth, a company which is listed on any of the exchanges in this country or outside this country, to that country, to that company, INDES has become mandatory. अगर उनकी नेटवर्थ 250 करोड़ से कम भी है, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, even then it is mandatory to all those companies. The only exception is if your company is listed on BSE or NSE, but it is listed on the SME platform. In that case, it is not applicable to you, and you can understand because the companies which are listed on the SME are very small ones, and therefore in terms of consequences you really do not need to burden them with the compliance of INDES, and therefore all those companies are exempt from that category. So this is how it is started with the companies, and for the non-banking financial companies, the period started from 1st April 2018, and it was again in the same way for the NBFCs with a net worth of more than 500 crore. It became mandatory from 1st April 2018. For the NBFCs with the net worth of more than 250 crore, it became mandatory from 1st April 2019. So this is how this has progressed so far. As a matter of fact, banks and insurance companies were also supposed to have been within the ambit of indices, but somehow the banks and the insurance companies have been saying that they are still not prepared, and therefore the date has been shifted from one date to another, and still it is not become mandatory. It was supposed to have become mandatory from 1st April to 2021, but I don't think that it has become mandatory in respect of the banks as well as insurance companies. So this is the roadmap of implementation of Ind AS, friends, in this country. Now, I have discussed with you what are the main objectives of financial statements, and quickly let's have a refresh. So, what is the objective? What balance sheet helps you? What kind of decisions balance sheet helps you in arriving? Financial position, right? And the current ratio, if it is decreasing, good sign or bad sign? It's a good sign provided, please pay attention, then this is what you must understand. It is a good sign provided it is a profit making company, provided company is honoring all its obligations in time. Then decrease in the current ratio is a good sign. But otherwise, please remember, and I am sure you will understand automatically, a loss making company, current ratio of loss making company will always be low. Not only low, it will be negative. So when I say negative, what does it mean? It means the current liabilities of a loss making company will always be more than the current assets. Why? Because they do not have money to pay, that is why the liabilities are increasing. They do not have cash to purchase, that is why inventories are not there, right? And since they are not selling, that is why receivables are not there. So receivables nahi hai, inventory nahi hai, cash and bank bhi nahi hai, only thing that you have is creditors, and therefore for a loss making company current ratio will always be low by default. But for a profit making company, current ratio can be low by design as a choice, and that is what all of us need to ensure. P&L will let you know, number one, which performance. P&L will let you know operating performance. Number two, turnover. Number two, profitability. Number three, expenses. और P&L will let you understand कि कंपनी की ऑपरेटिंग परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है. नंबर टू, इट विल लेट यू नो कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है. इसका मतलब कंपनी के इंटरेस्ट और टैक्स लायबिलिटी कम है कि ज़्यादा है. नंबर थ्री, इट विल लेट यू नो कंपनी की ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है. और ओवरऑल परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है, कैसे मालूम पड़ेगा कि कंपनी एसेट्स ऐड कर रही है कि नहीं कर रही है. पता पड़ सकता है क्या? कैन यू फिगर आउट फ्रॉम अ P&L स्टेटमेंट कि कंपनी is adding more assets or not adding more assets? Is it possible to figure out from P&L? And how will you do that? Very good. Please join your hands. Give a big round to every one of you. Yes, of course. So by looking at the figure of depreciation, you will be able to figure out कि ये कंपनी एसेट्स ऐड कर रही है कि नहीं कर रही है. और अज्यूमिंग कि मार्केट कंडीशन अच्छी है, अज्यूमिंग कि इकोनॉमी की कंडीशन अच्छी है, अगर एक कंपनी कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर कर रही है, दैट मीन्स इट इज़ अ part of good overall performance. Are you there everybody? Because remember, कंपनी का पर्पस खाली प्रॉफिट बनाना नहीं है. किसी भी कंपनी का पूरी दुनिया में प्रॉफिट बनाने के अलावा एक और पर्पस है, और वो है टू ग्रो, राइट? टू ग्रो, एंड ग्रोथ कैन हैपन ओनली व्हेन यू incur capital expenditure. So under the Ind AS, what are the components of financial statements? So as per the Ind AS, the financial components of are, number one is the balance sheet. Number two is the statement of profit and loss. Now, by the way, as per the IFRS, the name of the balance sheet is supposed to be statement of financial position. But in India, this is one of the changes. In India, we don't call we don't call it as statement of financial position. We still call it as balance sheet, right? So that is number one difference. Number two, as per the IFRS, you call it as a statement of comprehensive income. In India, we don't call it a statement of comprehensive income. In India, we still call it a statement of profit and loss only. So that's number two. Number three, of course, the cash flow statement, which of course is same as in IFRS, as in Ind AS, and also as per Indian GAAP, there is no difference. Number three, notes to accounts. We all understand as to what is the notes to accounts. And number four, statement of changes in equity. So what is statement of changes in equity? That means you are plowing back some profit. That means to that extent you are increasing the net worth. So this is part of your changes in equity. In case if you are infusing more equity, that means it is part of your changes in your equity. In case if you are doing a buyback, that means again you are incurring a change in statement of changes in equity. So these are the 5 statements that you have as part of the Ind AS equity. Okay. Now, how many balance sheets and the profit and loss account are required for the first time adoption. So let's say it became applicable, Ind AS became applicable in this country from 1st April 2016, or the financial year starting from the 1st April 2016 and ending on 31st March 2017. तो अगर किसी कंपनी, if a company was listed on BSE or NSE, or this company's net worth was more than 500 crore, or this company was in the process of getting its shares listed either on a stock exchange here in India or on an exchange outside India, Ind AS became mandatory from 1st April 2016. यानी कि 16-17 के जो अकाउंट्स हैं इस कंपनी के जब बनेंगे वो किसके हिसाब से बनेंगे? Ind AS के हिसाब से बनेंगे. तो मेरा आप सभी से सवाल ये है कि 1 अप्रैल 2016 से मैंडेटरी हो गया, तो इस कंपनी को कितने बैलेंस शीट और कितने P&L लगेंगे विच आर एज पर दी Ind AS? लास्ट 2 ईयर के और एक करंट ईयर का. सो दैट इज दैट द P&L यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, और इज दैट द बैलेंस शीट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट? बैलेंस शीट एंड P&L. ओके, थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है. देखो अभी क्या है कि वेन एवर एज पर द शेड्यूल 3 वी ऑल अंडरस्टैंड इट ऑफ द कंपनीज एक्ट, जब आप फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाते हो तो आपको करंट ईयर के फिगर देने हैं और आपको लास्ट ईयर के कंपेरेटिव फिगर्स भी देने हैं. बिकॉज अनलेस यू डू दैट द पर्पज ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट विल नॉट बी सर्व्ड. यानी कि आप अगर जो 15-16 के जो नंबर हैं अगर आप वो इंडियन गैप के हिसाब से दो और 16-17 के जो नंबर हैं अगर आप वो Ind AS के हिसाब से दो, तो देर इज़ नो कंपेरिजन. आर यू विद मी? And if there is no comparison, that means the whole purpose is defeated. And therefore, when the Ind AS become applicable to your company, not only you have to make a P&L as per the Ind AS for the year 16-17, but you also need to redraw your P&L of 15-16, which has to be as per Ind AS. So that is what is the necessary requirement. Now, not all, as far as the P&L is concerned, you need P&L as per the Ind AS for the year, that is 16-17, but in addition to that you also need P&L as per Ind AS for the year 15-16 also. In case of balance sheet there is a slight difference. And what is the difference? The difference is for 16-17 you will need balance sheet as per Ind AS, of course. For 15-16 also you will need balance sheet as per Ind AS, of course. Not only that, in case of first time adoption you will also need to make a balance sheet of 1st April 2015, which is as per Ind AS. Why? Because unless and until, देखो P&L तो आपका साल में खत्म हो जाता है, P&L को तो आप कैरी फॉरवर्ड नहीं करते हैं, यस और नो? आप किस चीज़ को कैरी फॉरवर्ड करते हैं? बैलेंस शीट को कैरी फॉरवर्ड करते हैं. तो अगर आप बैलेंस शीट को कैरी फॉरवर्ड करते हैं तो इसका मतलब अगर आपको 15-16 की बैलेंस शीट बनानी है तो 15-16 की बैलेंस शीट बनाने के लिए आपके पास में 1st अप्रैल 2015 की बैलेंस शीट होनी चाहिए एज पर Ind AS, right? So you need 3 balance sheet for the first time adoption. You need 3 balance sheet as far as the Ind AS is concerned, and you need P&L of 2 years, and as far as the implementation of Ind AS is concerned. And that is what we need to remember. I am sure many of you will be fortunate enough कि जिन कंपनियों में आप काम कर रहे हो आज की तारीख में, हो सकता है उन कंपनीज में आज की तारीख में Ind AS एप्लीकेबल ना हो, but I am sure going forward it can happen, and you will have the good fortune of being the leader in leading implementation of Ind AS in your company. And at that point in time, this information that we are discussing is going to be extremely useful to every one of you. Right. So, any question on whatever we have discussed so far? Okay.
So,
Yes.
in this particular standards, there are 2 types of exemptions that has been given, because to get the balance sheet as in 1st April 2015, the figures in the balance sheet we have to get it as per the Ind AS. So there would be a retrospective amendment that we have to do since inception.
Right.
So there are 2 exemptions. First is mandatory exemption that you cannot do a retrospective, and one is an optional even if you want to. So for this, how it works in the real life?
Yeah, so you know basically the whole objective is to facilitate the process of implementation. So even though there are requirements under all the 39 accounting standards which you have to comply with, but it is possible in certain cases that compliance with certain standards may not be practically feasible. So if it is not practically feasible, then you should not get stuck up because of that and stop the process of implementation of Ind AS. And that is why there is a provision to allow you exemption. Of course, if you avail an exemption, you will also need to make a disclosure as to why do you have to avail this exemption. Why do you think it's not possible for you to comply with this particular standards, and that is the reason why all these exemptions have been provided. Let us now look at the Ind AS of universe. ओके एक काम करते हैं, देखते हैं कि कितने सारे स्टैंडर्ड्स हम लोगों को याद हैं कि राइट. तो जरा बोलना शुरू करिए, कौन कौन सा स्टैंडर्ड आपको याद है. नंबर 1, और जो बोल दिया उसको रिपीट मत करिए, है ना. तो 101. ओके, सो 101 इज ऑन. राइट, वेरी गुड. एंड अच्छा, बाय द वे देर आर 2 series of indices, right? And these 2 series are exactly in line with the IFRS. So I'm sure to give you a background about the IFRS, initially there were no IFRS. Initially it was only international accounting standards. There were only international accounting standards. Subsequently, when globally it was thought a new global accounting system should be brought into existence, तो फिर क्या किया, जो बॉडी है इंटरनेशनल अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स बॉडी, उन्होंने नई सीरीज़ चालू करी, और वो जो नई सीरीज चालू करी दैट इज़ नॉन एज IFRS, इंटरनेशनल फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स. और पुरानी जो सीरीज़ है IAS, दैट कंटिन्यूज एज इट इज़. ओनली थिंग इज़ पुरानी सीरीज़ के काफ़ी सारे स्टैंडर्ड्स हैव बीन विड्रॉन, और नई सीरीज़ के जो स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं वो नई सीरीज से चालू हैं. नई सीरीज़ में देर आर 16 IFRS, 16 ओके, 16 IFRS and 23 standards of the old series of international accounting standards still continues. So 23, अच्छा पुराने वाला जो है उसके 41 standards अनाउंस हो चुके थे. आर यू विद मी? तो as per the old system, 41 international accounting standards were issued by that international accounting body. उसमें से आज की तारीख में 16 accounting standards have been withdrawn. Only what is outstanding is not 16, 41 minus 23. How much is that? 18, right? So 18 international accounting standards have been withdrawn. What is remaining in force is 23. And additionally, you have 16 IFRSs, International Financial Reporting Standards. So 16 plus 23, 39 are the number of accounting standards. So one is first time adoption, number 2 share based payment, okay, number 3 business combination, number 4 insurance contract, very good. Number 5 inventories, of course. Number 6 cash flow statement, very good. Number 7 consolidated financial statements, very good. Number 8 borrowing cost. Number 9 assets held for sale, okay. Number 10 okay, foreign exchange. Number 11 investment property, very good. 12 revenue recognition, which is now changed, okay. Depreciation in the Ind AS, it is now part of the Ind AS 16, which is on property, plant and equipment. 13 okay, yeah, वो अभी वो शिफ्ट हो गया, ओके. सो ऑल पुट टुगेदर एंड आई थिंक यू डिजर्व अ बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज, क्योंकि तेरा भी याद रखना कोई बहुत आसान काम नहीं है. वेरी गुड. सो व्हाट इज द यूनिवर्स ऑफ Ind AS? The universe of Ind AS is, for better understanding, and this is how I would recommend that all of you should also look at the Ind AS, because then you would be able to capture it much better. What I have done is I have divided into 3 categories. So the first category is indices that pertain to the presentation and disclosure. यानी कि ये जो इंडियन अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं उनका फोकस कहाँ पर है? उनका फोकस है ऑन द प्रेजेंटेशन एंड ऑन द डिस्क्लोजर. यानी कि जो अकाउंटिंग इन्फॉर्मेशन है जो कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में आनी है उसको किस तरह से प्रेजेंट करना है और उसके बारे में क्या क्या डिस्क्लोजर देने हैं. सो दैट इज़ द कैटेगरी नंबर 1, एंड इन दिस कैटेगरी वी हैव 15 अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स. Quickly let me read it out for you so that it becomes part of your memory. First is Ind AS 1, which is on presentation of financial statements. What this standards tells you, I am sure you can very easily understand. It tells you as to how the financial statements are to be presented. यानी कि P&L में क्या आना चाहिए, बैलेंस शीट में क्या आना चाहिए, कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट में क्या आना चाहिए और वो किस तरह से बताया जाना चाहिए. That is what your Ind AS 1 is on presentation of financial statements. And then you have Ind AS 7, which is on statement of cash flow. So statement of cash flow, we all understand why statement of cash flow is important. Please remember the reason why the cash flow statement is important, and that is because it is the cash flow statement that gives you an idea about ability of a business to take care of his financial obligations. Are you with me? ठीक है ना. तो आपको कहाँ से मालूम पड़ेगा. देखिए P&L ठीक है, बैलेंस शीट ठीक है, एंड रिमेंबर ग्लोबली पूरी दुनिया में बताता हूँ आपको कि जो CEOs हैं या जो चेयरमैन हैं या प्रेसिडेंट हैं या मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर हैं कंपनियों के या बोर्ड मेंबर्स हैं, वो लोग बैलेंस शीट को रोज़ाना नहीं देखते, वो बैलेंस शीट को महीने में भी नहीं देखते, वो बैलेंस शीट को क्वार्टरली भी नहीं देखते, वो बैलेंस शीट को हाफ ईयरली भी नहीं देखते, वो बैलेंस शीट को साल में एक बार देखते हैं जब वो उनको बैलेंस शीट साइन करनी होती है. क्यों? क्योंकि बैलेंस शीट मोर और लेस इज अ हिस्ट्री. P&L is important, so P&L people will look at, but what the top people of any company across the globe will look at one statement, and that statement is cash flow. Why? Because it is very clear. If you can have a control on the cash flow of a business, you can have a control on the entire business. So that is why cash flow statement becomes very, very important, and cash flow statement will give you as to where the money is coming and where the money is going. And we have understood and discussed little while ago, there are three kinds of the cash flows. One is the cash flow from the operating activities, second is the cash flow from the investing activities, and third is the cash flow from the financing activities. And that is what your cash flow statement will tell you. Then you have Ind AS 8, which is on accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates and errors. तो सीधी सी बात है, कितना भी कह लो, कितना भी टेक्नोलॉजिकल डेवलपमेंट हो जाए, अल्टीमेटली ह्यूमन इंटरवेंशन तो कभी ख़त्म होने वाला नहीं है. कंप्यूटर को भी ऑपरेट करना है तो कंप्यूटर को आदमी ही ऑपरेट करेगा. बिना आदमी के कंप्यूटर अपने आप काम नहीं कर सकता, कितनी भी आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस आ जाए. तो क्या है इसका मतलब? इसका मतलब है कि कई बार एरर्स हो सकते हैं अकाउंटिंग में. अगर एरर होते हैं, हाउ दोज एरर्स टू बी ट्रीटेड. कई बार क्या होता है कि अकाउंटिंग एस्टिमेट्स हैं, accounting estimates can always be different. Are you with me? Because a company है, it makes provision for the bad debts. So please tell me, एक कंपनी ने बैड डेट्स का प्रोविजन किया और उसको अकाउंट फॉर किया. अगले साल में मालूम पड़ा कि ये जो अमाउंट ऑफ बैड डेट का जो प्रोविजन है ये कम हुआ है. तो क्या लगता है आपको? इसके लिए इस कंपनी ने अपने लास्ट ईयर के अकाउंट को दोबारा से लिखना चाहिए कि दोबारा से लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं है? Okay, so please remember, making provisions falls into the category of changes in the accounting estimates, and there is a clear provision in Ind AS 8, which is on accounting policies, changes in estimates and errors, कि अगर आपके estimates में कुछ change होता है तो उस change की वजह से आपको accounts को rewrite करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, because after all they are estimates, और estimates can be up and down. So therefore there is no need for changing the rewriting your accounts. But if there is a change in the accounting policy, यानी कि अब तक आप जो डेप्रिसिएशन का मेथड है एक यूज़ कर रहे थे, अगर आप दूसरा मेथड यूज़ करते हैं तो फिर आपको आपके पूरे लास्ट सालों के जो अकाउंट्स हैं, मतलब लास्ट साल के अकाउंट्स को रीराइट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, लेकिन लास्ट आपको अज्यूम करना पड़ेगा कि अगर ये चेंज डे 1 से किया होता था तो कितना इम्पैक्ट आता था. एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट यू विल नीड टू रिफ्लेक्ट in your profit and loss statement and also in the balance sheet, because balance sheet will have the asset component. So that is your Ind AS 8, which is about accounting policies, changes and in accounting estimates. Then you have Ind AS 10, which is events after the reporting period. So depending on the accounting depending on the certain transactions, so what you will have two categories of the transactions that can happen in case of a company: transactions of adjusting nature and transactions of non-adjusting nature, and that is what is covered by Ind AS 10, which is on events after the reporting period. Ind AS 24 is about related party disclosures. Please remember, it is about the related party disclosures. I am sure all of you must be aware about the provision relating to related party transactions under the Companies Act also and under the SEBI regulations also. So related party transactions are covered at three places for all of us. Number one, as part of the accounting standards. Number two, as part of the Companies Act. And number three, as part of the SEBI regulations. In case if your company is listed on a stock exchange, otherwise SEBI regulations are not applicable to you. Now, please remember why there is so much focus on related party transactions. The reason behind so much focus on related party transaction is because this is one area where a lot of scams can happen, lot of irregular practices can happen, right? Because जब भी कोई कंपनी में गड़बड़ करेगा तो वो जनरली क्या करेगा, वो अपने किसी जान पहचान वाले के थ्रू करेगा, यानी कि कोई रिलेटेड पार्टी के थ्रू करेगा. सो दैट इज द रिक्वायरमेंट दैट द कंपनीज एक्ट does not say that you cannot do transactions with a related party. You can do transaction with a related party. The only thing is you have to make proper disclosure as to this transaction is with a related party, and this transaction is at a arm's length. So that is what is covered in the Companies Act. It is also covered under the SEBI regulations, and it is also covered under the indices as part of Index 24. So ये यहाँ पर आपको क्या करना है, डिस्क्लोजर देने हैं, यानी कि आपकी जितनी भी रिलेटेड पार्टी के साथ में ट्रांजैक्शंस हुए हैं उस साल में और पिछले साल में, दोनों ट्रांजैक्शंस आपको दिखाने हैं कि वो पार्टी कौन है, आपका उस पार्टी से रिश्ता क्या है, उस पार्टी के अमाउंट जो ट्रांजैक्शन किया हुआ उसकी अमाउंट क्या है, उसका कितना आउटस्टैंडिंग है, और जो ट्रांजैक्शन उसकी नेचर क्या है. दिस इज व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी डिस्क्लोज एज पर इंडेक्स 24 विच इज ऑन रिलेटेड पार्टी disclosures. Then you have Index 29, which is on financial reporting in hyperinflationary economies. Now, I am sure you can understand India's economy is not a hyperinflationary economy. So, what is the meaning of hyperinflationary economy? The meaning of hyperinflationary economy is economies where there is no stability as far as the economy is concerned. So I am sure you must have heard of a country like Venezuela, right? और जहाँ पर आपने शायद कभी कभी व्हाट्सएप पे वीडियोस भी देखे होंगे कि एक कप कॉफ़ी खरीदने के लिए वो जो आदमी कॉफ़ी खरीदना चाह रहा है उसको इतनी सारे वेनेजुएलन जो करेंसी है वो ला जाके देनी पड़ रही थी. यानी कि प्राइसेस हैव इंक्रीज सो मच दैट यू हैव टू कैरी kgs of currency notes to buy a simple mug of coffee. So that is your hyperinflationary economies. So उनके लिए you have this accounting standards 29 and that talks about कि अगर आपकी hyperinflationary economy है, how will you do the accounting of your economy? Fortunately, we don't fall into this category. Fortunately, today, I am sure all of you must be aware, Indian economy in the whole world is one of the strongest economy. Are you there with me? Right? So we know what is happening in Russia. We know what is happening in Europe. And we know what is happening in America. America is worried about likely recession. Europe is worried about likely and not likely energy crisis. Russia, of course, is worried about Ukraine. Ukraine is worried about Russia. But Indian economy is one economy which is going strong. And I'm sure आप लोग जरूर कहीं ना कहीं स्टडी करते होंगे. अगर आप कंपेयर करेंगे Indian stock markets, the performance of Indian stock markets in last 1 year and the European and American stock markets in last 1 year, you will see Indian stock markets are more or less at the same level as they were 1 year before. But if you look at the American markets or European markets, you will see that those markets have come down by 20, 30, 40%. So that shows that India's economy is on a sound footing. Then you have Index 32 which is on financial instruments presentations. So दुनिया भर के financial instruments हैं, हम सभी को मालूम है, तो वो financial instruments का presentation कैसे करना चाहिए. This is your Index 32 that covers it. Index 33 is earning per share. Please remember Index 33 which is on earning per share is a very important accounting standard, and it talks about disclosure of earning per share in two ways. Number one, basic EPS, and number two, diluted EPS, right? So why earning per share is so important? Anyone, would somebody like to tell me कि earning per share क्यों इतना important है किसी business के लिए? Valuation of shares, okay. What else? Investors, okay. Let me give you some idea. पूरी दुनिया में अगर आप देखने जाओ तो आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि जितने भी टॉप एग्जीक्यूटिव्स हैं, ये टॉप मैनेजमेंट जितने भी हैं, उन सबके जो बोनसेस होते हैं, उनके बोनसेस आर लिंक्ड विद द अर्निंग पर शेयर. यानी कि किसी कंपनी का अर्निंग पर शेयर जितना ज़्यादा होगा, उस कंपनी के टॉप एग्जीक्यूटिव्स को उतना ज़्यादा बोनस मिलेगा. डू यू नो व्हाई इज़ दैट? यू नो व्हाई इज़ दैट? एंड दैट इज़ बिकॉज जब किसी कंपनी की ईपीएस ऊपर जाती है तो आपने देखा होगा उस कंपनी की जो मार्केट प्राइस ऑफ द शेयर है ऑन द स्टॉक मार्केट, दैट ऑल्सो गोज अप. So now what does it mean? It means when the EPS is going up, market price of the share of the company is also going up, and when the market price of the company share is also going up, what does it mean? It means the wealth of the shareholders is also going up. And when the wealth of the shareholders is going up, they are happy. And when they are happy, what they do? They give bonuses to the top executives of the company. So please remember, the top executives of all the companies all over the world, including India, पूरी दुनिया में जो टॉप मैनेजमेंट है, उन टॉप मैनेजमेंट का सबसे बड़ा ड्राइवर क्या होता है? उनका सबसे बड़ा ड्राइवर होता है अर्निंग पर शेयर. So the managing director of your company, he may not tell you, but you're the managing director of your company, the board of directors of your company, the CFO of your company, constantly thinking in his mind as to what to do in my company so that the earning per share of my company goes up. And that is the significance of Index 33, which is on earning per share. अर्निंग पर शेयर को दो तरह से डिस्क्लोज करना होता है एज पर द इंडेक्स 33. नंबर 1, यू नीड टू गिव द बेसिक अर्निंग पर शेयर, एंड नंबर 2, you have to give the diluted earning per share. Will somebody like to tell me as to what is diluted earning per share?
It is the share that the company.
Let me give chance to other people also. So कैसे, how do you calculate or how do you find out the diluted earning per share, or what is the meaning of diluted earning per share? Anyone? ओके, सो लेट मी गिव यू टाइम टू डिस्कस. तो मैं क्या करता हूँ, मैं आपको 2 मिनट का टाइम देता हूँ, आप अपने नेबर्स के साथ में डिस्कस करिए और एक दूसरे से समझ के लीजिए कि ये डाइल्यूटेड अर्निंग पर शेयर क्या होती है, और 2 मिनट के बाद में आप मुझे बताइए कि डाइल्यूटेड अर्निंग पर शेयर क्या होती है. 2 मिनट का समय है, योर टाइम स्टार्ट्स नाउ. या ओके, आई विल जस्ट कम टू यू आफ्टर दे एवरीबडी डिस्कस. Yeah, okay. So, have you discussed it? Okay, so yeah, maybe someone from here. Yes, ma'am. I'll come to you in any case. Yes.
In basic EPS, we are talking about current year EPS,
Mhm.
and in diluted EPS, we are talking about current year as well as previous year EPS. So comparison between two, we are talking.
Okay, very good, very good. Someone here. How do you understand as to what is diluted earning per share?
Sir, diluted EPS is calculated considering the conversion of shares.
Very good. Conversion of shares or conversion of convertible instruments. Okay, so diluted earning per share will mean earning per share which takes into account the financial instruments which company may have issued, which are convertible in nature, assuming that the conversion has already taken place, and taking that conversion into account, how the net profit would have changed, how the number of shares would have undergone a change, and how the new EPS would have been. Ma'am, is that all that you wanted to say?
Even after acquisitions,
Yeah.
the number of shareholders increases.
Mhm.
So it also dilutes the earnings per share.
Right. Okay, very good. Yeah, you want to add something?
Same thing. If the company is issuing any financial in any
Mhm.
So taking that thing today, they should come to know that at this particular net profit, if they had these many shares with the current equity shares and the coming on equity shares, then this would have been the impacted in the future.
Very good. Very good. So please join a big round to every one of you. Very good. So is that clear to everybody? What is diluted earning per share? Very good. Excellent. So that please understand. Not only understand as to what is diluted earning per share, but also understand the intent behind the accounting standard setters to incorporate this information about the diluted earning per share, so that as a shareholder, when you are buying share of a company, remember, so typically what you will do, you will look at the current earning per share and try to take a decision. Will that be a correct decision? May not be, because you will have to take into account the diluted earning per share, because ultimately the future earning per share of this company is not going to be in line with the basic earning per share. The future earning per share of this company is going to be in line with the diluted earning per share. So you not only take into account the basic earning per share, but you also take into account the diluted earning per share, and that is the objective and purpose and intent behind the Ind AS 33 on earning per share. Ind AS 34 is about interim financial reporting. Interim financial reporting का मतलब क्या है? We all understand कि listed company है तो उनको from time to time they have to come out with quarterly results. So if they have to come out with quarterly results, now if everybody starts publishing their quarterly results in their own format, will a common man like all of us will be able to understand कि ये company की performance कैसी है? Answer is no. And therefore the Ind AS 34 about the interim financial reporting, what does it say? It gives the format and you have to follow that format for interim financial reporting. यानी कि quarterly results हैं, follow Ind AS 34. You have to submit a bank statement or financial statements to any agency, follow the Ind AS 34, that is your interim financial reporting. यानी कि annual जो financial reporting होती है, that is the P&L and the balance sheet and the cash flow and schedules that you prepare, उसके अलावा अगर बीच में आपको कोई रिपोर्टिंग करनी है कहीं पर, so what you have to do, you have to follow the norms prescribed under Ind AS 34 on interim financial reporting, and that's your Ind AS 34. Then you have Ind AS 102 which is about share based payments. क्या मतलब है? इसका मतलब ये है कि कई बार कुछ पेमेंट होते हैं, those payments may not be in the form of cash, those payments may be in the form of shares, right? So how the accounting has to be done in case of share based payments, that is what is covered in Ind AS 102 on share based payments. So many times there is an exchange of property or asset with the instead of cash with the shares, right? So how do you account for that? That is your Ind AS 102 is all about. Then you have Ind AS 105 which is on non-current assets held for sale and discontinued operations. क्या मतलब हो सकता है इसका? Can somebody tell me? Ind AS 105 on non-current assets held for sale or from discontinued operations. Can somebody give me an idea as to what kind of transaction will fall into this category?
If we discontinue the one segment of business.
Very good.
For example, Tata Chemical discontinue and transfer his business to Tata Consumer,
Mm-hmm.
salt business
Right.
and spice business.
Right. Okay, very good. So please join your hands, give him a big round. Very good indeed. अब देखिए Ind AS 105. अब see, this is how if you understand the concept, you understand the Ind AS without any problem. So Ind AS 105 is about non-current assets, and we understand what the non-current assets are. Non-current assets are fixed assets, right? So non-current assets held for sale or from discontinued operations. इसका क्या मतलब है? इसका मतलब ये है कि अगर कल को एक कंपनी डिसाइड करती है कि ये जो डिवीजन है, ये डिवीजन हमको नहीं रखना है, ये डिवीजन को हम सेल करने वाले हैं, ठीक है? सो द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स हैव टेकन अ डिसीजन दैट वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्पोज ऑफ दिस division we are not going to continue in our business. That means it is a discontinued business or a business which is going to be discontinued. Are you with me? Right. Now so बोर्ड ने रेजोल्यूशन पास किया, शेयर होल्डर ने भी उसको अप्रूव कर दिया, तो तो इंटेंट इज़ वेरी क्लियर कि ये बिजनेस को क्लोज करना है। अब आप मुझे बताइए कि ये जो बिजनेस क्लोज करना है, ये डिवीजन क्लोज करना है, उस डिवीजन में 50 करोड़ की फिक्स्ड एसेट्स हैं और 10 करोड़ की फिक्स्ड करंट एसेट्स हैं और 5 करोड़ की करंट लायबिलिटीज़ हैं। ठीक है, इस बिजनेस के बारे में। तो ये एक बार डिसीजन ले लिया दैट दिस बिजनेस इज गोइंग टू बी सोल्ड आउट, डिस्पोज्ड ऑफ, तो ये जो 50 करोड़ की जो फिक्स्ड एसेट्स हैं इस डिवीजन की, ये इस कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में किस तरह से डिस्क्लोज होनी चाहिए? शुड दे बी डिस्क्लोज्ड एज पार्ट ऑफ द नॉन करंट एसेट्स और शुड दीज बी डिस्क्लोज्ड एज करंट एसेट? Should it be disclosed as non-current assets or current assets? अच्छा, वेरी गुड, सेपरेटली, ठीक है, सेपरेटली डिस्क्लोज करेंगे, ठीक है, पर कैसे करेंगे? शुड बी डिस्क्लोज एज नॉन करंट एसेट्स और एज करंट एसेट्स? वेरी गुड। अब देखिए, समझ के लीजिए, व्हाट इज द करंट एसेट? एवरीबडी, 12 महीने में जो सेल करना है तो दैट इज योर करंट एसेट, ठीक है ना। तो अब आप कंपनी ने डिसीजन ले लिया, क्या डिसीजन ले लिया कि ये डिवीजन हमको सेल करना है। इसका मतलब व्हाट इज द इंटेंट? द इंटेंट इज टू सेल इट इमीडिएटली एज सून एज यू गेट अ बायर, राइट। तो अब आप मुझे बताइए, एज पर द करंट डेफिनेशन ऑफ द करंट एसेट, is the are these assets falling into the category of non-current assets or they are falling into the definition of current assets? Everybody, current assets. So doesn't really matter ये डिवीजन में लैंड है, नॉन करंट एसेट्स है, ये डिवीजन में बिल्डिंग है, नॉन करंट एसेट्स है, ये डिवीजन में प्लांट एंड मशीनरी है, नॉन करंट एसेट्स है, अंडरस्टूड। बट व्हाट इज द डिसीजन दैट द कंपनी हैज टेकन? कंपनी हैज टेकन टू सेल दिस डिसीजन, to sell this company, this division, when? 2 साल के बाद, 4 साल के बाद, 5 साल के बाद, और जैसे ही कोई कस्टमर मिले। सो इसका मतलब क्या है? It is no longer a non-current assets. As far as the accounting is concerned, this has become a current asset. And why it has become a current asset? It has become a current asset because intent of the company is to sell it off, dispose it off, and convert that into cash, right? So that is your Ind AS 105, which is about the non-current assets held for sale or assets, non-current assets of a discontinued operations. So that is your, this is what you need to remember. And please remember, you are right. So non-current assets held for sale or from discontinued operations will be shown in the balance sheet as a separate item, but where? Not under the non-current assets, under the current assets. And that is what, and I'm sure you have understood as to what is the significance of Ind AS 105. क्यों? याद रखिए, Ind AS का पूरा पर्पस क्या है? Ind AS का पूरा पर्पस ये है कि आपकी बैलेंस शीट और आपकी P&L और आपके कैश फ्लो स्टेटमेंट से जो आदमी उसको पढ़ रहा है उसको क्लियर आइडिया आना चाहिए। अब आप मुझे बताइए कि कंपनी का डिवीजन है, 100 करोड़ का डिवीजन है ना, टोटल कंपनी 300 करोड़ की है और उसमें से जो डिवीजन सेल करना है उसकी वैल्यू 100 करोड़ है। अगर ये 100 करोड़ का डिवीजन जिसके बारे में डिसीजन ले लिया है कि इसको सेल करना है, अगर ये डिस्क्लोजर कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में नहीं हो रहा है एज पर Ind AS 105, is the balance sheet of this company showing the correct position or it is showing the incorrect position? And the answer is it is showing the incorrect position. Why? Because जब मैं बैलेंस शीट को रीड करूंगा तो मैं क्या समझ के लूंगा? मैं समझ के लूंगा कि कंपनी 300 करोड़ की है, कंपनी की एसेट 300 करोड़ की हैं। I will take a decision based on that. Will my decision be right or wrong? My decision can be wrong. But if the additional information is given as part of the current assets, assets held for sale or non-current assets held for sale or from the discontinued operations, then I'll get an idea कि 1 साल के अंदर ये तो निकल जाएगा और जो बचेगा वो बाकी assets बचेंगे। And that's your Ind AS 105. Before we move forward, and I'm really glad somebody did mention as to what is the difference between the Indian GAAP and Ind AS and the IFRS on the other hand. And the major difference, of course, is of fair value. Fair value, right? So under the Ind AS, there is a focus on fair value. So no longer focus is on the historical pricing. So historical cost accounting is gone as far as Ind AS is concerned. Ind AS is purely on fair value. यानी कि on the date of the balance sheet, what is the value of that fair value of that asset, that is what you have to disclose. तो अगर आपने एक लैंड परचेज करी 50 साल पहले 1 करोड़ की और आज की तारीख पे उस लैंड की वैल्यू है 100 करोड़, तो आप उसको बैलेंस शीट में कितने पे दिखाएंगे? क्यों? क्योंकि उस एसेट की फेयर वैल्यू कितनी है? 100 करोड़. एंड दैट इज द ड्रामेटिक चेंज बिटवीन द इंडियन गैप and the IFRS or Indian accounting standards. Right. You have a tea break or something like that? Okay. So, do we take that break? कितने देर के लिए? How much? 10 minutes? Okay. So, देखो मेरी घड़ी में बज रहे हैं अभी. Okay, let's take this watch. ये घड़ी में बज रहे हैं 9 में 12 में 9 कम है. तो 12:01 पे हम वापस चालू करते हैं. अकाउंटिंग का सवाल है ना, तो अकाउंटिंग परफेक्ट होनी चाहिए. तो 12:01 पे लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस सेशन. थैंक यू एंड सी यू एट 12